Let's go to Dave in Fresno. Dave, what's happening?
You guys, yes, thank you. Good morning. Happy holidays to you guys. I listen to you guys every morning. I appreciate you getting me on here when you do.
Yep.
This whole situation with Brock, people are they're having a hard time grasping onto because it's a situation we've never seen before. He was the last pick of the draft. He was a third-string quarterback last year. So even the own team didn't believe him like that. So he stepped in. He's been playing well, and he's doing the job. Only thing I would say, it's not a knock on Purdy. It's more the NFL. It's just the hyperbole that goes on.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to anoint somebody, the guy, elite. He's the real deal. In my opinion, the NFL is week to week. Because just 3 weeks ago, people were saying Rock is playing for his job. He had the bad little stretch, and people weren't so sold. Now he has 2 great games, and he's Joe Montana. So I would just say it doesn't matter. Just next week it can be a different deal. We don't know. He could struggle. Only thing I would like to see more from Brock, and I've been a skeptic, but I've been impressed. He's been playing well. You got to give credit's due. I want to see a little more playing from behind. I want to see him play better in those situations. And I also want to see him playing the cold because that Cleveland game, that gave me cause for pause. The ball was slipping out of his hands. I know we didn't have all the weapons. I want to see a little more effectiveness in the cold because of what I've seen. When we have the lead and we're playing in Santa Clara and it's 7 degrees, he's great. He's been lights out, and that's great. And last point I'll make, it will only matter what people think of Brock. It doesn't matter now, but when it comes contract time, that's when it's going to matter what people think and what the 49ers think. Because what happens when you're the quarterback and you're the franchise quarterback, how you define the quarterback is you're going to be here 10, 15 years. Everybody around you is not. The pieces will always change when you're the guy. When you're Mahomes, you're Burrow, they expect you to be here a long time. Chase, Kelsey, those guys, they all kind of come and go. The coaches come and go. But when you're the guy, when you're the guy, the way they're trying to talk about Brock, you're going to be here. So when this contract makes more money and you start losing pieces, then we can have a better idea. But right now, it's a great situation. Right now, let's take it week by week. And we try to get this Super Bowl and take advantage of him making.
Good call, Dave. Good call, Dave. Now, he mentioned something that Steve Young just touched on. He needs to see Brock come from behind in a football game. He needs to see Brock come from behind. Here's what Steve Young said on the Dan Patrick Show.
So Brock's going to have to do it. If CJ or Jalen's going to take 3 steps, Brock's going to take 5. But he's going to be so efficient and good at it that he's instead of he's going to be 5 for 5, where the other guys have to be 3 for 3. So that's just a fact, and he's going to have to do that in the biggest games, and he's going to have to do it coming from behind. The NFL today, Dan, every game it feels like comes down the last couple possessions of the fourth quarter. Yeah. That was never the case before. It was always more stodgy, more thick. It was like you couldn't make that big vicissitudes of scoring, like back and forth. It's like the NBA today. You've got 5 guys in the league, or 6, that you give the ball in the hands in the last couple of drives, and they will get it done. And Brock needs to constantly work extra to be one of those guys, but I think he can.
Do you need to see Brock come from behind? Steve Young right there, Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Montana, his nickname is the comeback kid, right? Like, for a reason. You saw Russell Wilson do that the other night, and that was old shades of Russell Wilson, right? Do I need to see it? No. Do I think he's capable of doing it? Yes. But I do think and this goes back to the national media narrative, I think a lot of people need him to do it a certain way for them to anoint him. Part of what's made Patrick Mahomes, he's won Super Bowls, but the second one in particular, the one against the Philadelphia, they were from behind, down 10 at halftime. He had a hurt ankle. Like, it was all of the checklist, stupid narrative, storybook things, but it enhances the legacy of that individual. Like, it's almost undoubted that enhanced who Patrick Mahomes is to win the way he did, scrambling with that high ankle sprain the way that he did on the run at the end of that game to put his team in a position to win.
I don't care. To be honest with you, I don't care because, you brought up Steph Curry, right? And this is when I stopped caring, 2016. I was like, God, this guy averaged 28, 6, and 5 during the first championship run.
It didn't bug you that people were giving no credit to them when they won a championship?
Afterwards, I said, you know what? They don't even want to give credit to him. They're just hating.
Well, but that's where I'm at with
so
Purdy.
I don't pay attention to the haters. So Steph Curry has a career average of 27, 6, and 5 in the NBA playoffs. shot 40% for the three-point line. And you still got people talking about he needs to prove this, he needs to prove that. They don't know what they're talking about. So if you don't know what you're talking about, I'm going to tune you out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I get your point on tuning out, but we still want the validation. Every fan wants that validation.
Why do we want validation from people
because
we don't
last year I watched Jalen Hurts, who had an unreal year, okay? An unreal. No, the big differentiator is the running stats. He had like 13 touchdowns, 700 yards running. Purdy's been a better pocket quarterback, utilizing his weapons this year already through however many games.
Hurts was really good last year.
No, Hurts was awesome. But what my point was Hurts was considered an MVP through 10 weeks, was he not?
And Brock Purdy is considered an MVP favorite,
I don't know.
too.
I feel like people aren't giving him this just due nationally. I think internally here in the Bay Area, we absolutely realize there's a difference. And there are still going to be a pocket of people that are going to hate because that's reality and that ends up happening. But I don't think he's getting that same love.
Well, first of all, again, I don't care about the national, but let's think about this market alone. He hasn't proven to a lot of people in this market. There's people in our own market, our own backyard, who still need to see some things from Brock Purdy before he's validated. That's just in the Bay Area bubble.
The ultimate one is a different question. I think he's proven he's the dude.
Yeah, but in the Bay Area market, there are still people waiting, whether they're in the media or fans. They said, what is he going to do in Philadelphia in 2 weeks? What is he going to do in January?
So they lose in Philadelphia, and all of a sudden he's a terrible quarterback?
People validated the question Grant Cohn asked Shanahan about, have you thought about making a quarterback change? That was after 3 losses. And people validated that question.
That's natural, just because, that's what we were going to ask.
That was dumb. Brock Purdy's not getting benched for Sam Darnold. Let's go to Anthony in Benicia. Anthony, what's happening?
Top of the morning, my brothers. Good morning to you guys. So, I'm not choosing sides, but I think for my fandom, I also don't care what the national perspective is. But the reason I don't is because I understand the agenda of some of these national pundits and some of these talking heads, right? Like, they say things for clicks and they say things to get traction. And so you look at somebody like a Stephen A., although I respect him as a journalist, we all know that he can be overly animated in some of the things that he says and some of the things that, just some of the ways that he conducts his show, right? And so I just know that I separate, I'm able to compartmentalize, and I understand that what I'm seeing with my own 2 eyes can't be told that it's anything different. And I agree with you, Joe, that Brock Purdy has been at least top 3 quarterback this season alone. He's played better than Patrick. He's played better than Jalen, and that's okay to say. And so I'm with you, Bob, on that side where I'm like, I don't really care. I think it's a personality trait. Some of us are just easier equipped or better equipped to be like, whatever they're saying, it don't mind me, because I'm confident in what I'm seeing with my own 2 old hosts. So, but I hear you, Joe. I'm just like, I'm not trying to hear that. I know he's good. You can't tell me he's not, because I'm seeing it.
Good call, Anthony, and that's where I'm at. Think about this, Shasky, and I'm not even coming down your road for this at all. It's just a conversation. When Brock Purdy was 4-0, 5-0, and I said, man, he's playing better football than Patrick Mahomes. Think about how many people scoffed at me and said I was crazy for saying that. I didn't say he was better than Patrick Mahomes. I said he's playing better football than Patrick Mahomes. And people went crazy because I put Brock Purdy's name in the same sentence as Patrick Mahomes. And that's in our own market. That's in our own market,
because
so
Patrick
he's not
Mahomes
even
has
validated.
Super Bowls,
but this year,
it was the vehicle of the person that you compared it to.
But we can't compartmentalize season by season. This season, Brock Purdy's been better than Patrick Mahomes.
And my retort to you was, if someone said, hey, De'Aaron Fox has been better than Steph Curry, you'd be laughing at that.
But he hasn't been. Has he been better than Steph Curry?
But see what I'm saying?
He hasn't been better than Steph Curry. No. I would consider it.
Okay.
But he hasn't been better than Steph Curry.
Pick any other player who's not Steph. But that's when you're comparing to Mahomes, people get triggered, and I get triggered, and rightfully so, because he's an all-time legend. So that to me is where you lose me, because if anyone compared anyone to Steph, whether Steph was playing better basketball over a 10-game stretch, I'd be like, dude, it's Steph Curry.
No, I wouldn't do that. Steph Curry I made the documentary for chronicling Steph Curry's January in which he was shooting poorly.
But that doesn't mean it's disingenuous to say you wouldn't be triggered. I disagree.
No, I wouldn't be triggered. De'Aaron Fox is playing the MVP basketball. The receipts are there. He's playing MVP basketball right now. But so is Steph. But De'Aaron Fox has been great this year. Great. I've been on the Fox
using
train.
the analogy that if you compare anyone to one of the legends, people are going to feel triggered because of the honor of that legend. If you say, just hypothetically, Chet is off to a better start than LeBron James in his career, and even if the data supports it, everyone's like, it's LeBron James. So it's the vehicle. It's Patrick Mahomes. When you compare someone to a guy who's been to 5 straight AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs, like, people are going to be like, whoa, he's a legend.
And it wasn't even compared to Patrick Mahomes. We got to listen better. It was saying that, hey, this year, when it comes to actions on the football field and throwing the ball and running their offense, Brock Purdy's been better than Mahomes this year.
And what I'm telling you is no one's listening to that argument because of who that person is. We instantly pivot to the resume. It's like saying, hey, Steph Curry this year, for example, is better than anything that Jordan did at 35 years old. People are like, whoa, even if the data supports it, it's Jordan. He's the GOAT. So
that's why you kind of prove my point, is that I don't care what the national media thinks. And like Anthony said, I'm secure in my takes. I'm secure in what I see, and I know that I'm going to be wrong sometimes. I don't really care. I don't really care about being wrong.
Well, I've said this until I'm blue in the face. I do care. And I think the majority of people truly do care what people think about them, and they want to be liked, and they want their team, when they scroll through the internet, they want to see positive takes about their squad. I care about what they think about me. But when it comes to sports, I don't care what the national media says about my teams. I know my teams are good. I know my teams are good. Like, I'm in a ton of group threads with a whole bunch of my buddies, family members, etc. And when you see the dumb takes circulating on group threads, it's an eye roll. So when I see good takes about my team and praise about my team on group threads, those are the things I live for. It drives me crazy when I see the accomplishments of my local team get diminished.
Yeah, nationally, but you know what? We know what's happening out here. As long as I know, as long as the team knows, I think our fan base is educated enough to know that, hey, we got something good out here. Let's go to Thomas in San Ramon. Thomas, what's happening?
Hey, boys. Just, I'm a Lions fan since the 80s. It's funny to listen to you guys talk about the Niners being disrespected. They're a crown jewel of the NFL, and people nationally are just upset that you guys stepped on your own junk and fell into Brock Purdy. They're just mad.
I think there's some truth to that. I think there's some truth to that. The fact that they can't crush Shanahan over the Trey Lance thing and the whiff, just the absolute whiff on that trade, and how bold that trade was and how obnoxious that was to a lot of people, and the fact that they stumbled upon Brock Purdy and have the gumption to go with him and roll with him, I do believe there's a lot of people that are like, no. This fairy tale isn't real. I do think there are people that think that. I think there might be Niner fans that might think that.
The same thing if the Steelers, whiffed on Pickett and they go and pick some 7th rounder up, and he becomes a god. Everyone's going to be mad at that guy too.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, I know when I was watching the Rams, and I brought this up yesterday, when I was watching the Rams, I diluted Kurt Warner for the longest time. Oh, he's not this. He's not that. No way. And then eventually I tapped out.